the energy like from that Broncos locker room right now? How are the guys feeling? What are the vibes?
I have to say the vibes are completely different than what's going on in the Toyota Lounge right now. I did not hear a single laugh in there. This is as depressed of a locker room as you could imagine. The most depressing locker room I've been in, and it's because the Broncos knew that they had this game locked up. They were ready to hand the Super Bowl champs their very first loss, and it was absolutely ripped out of their hands. Guys, there were a couple of guys in that locker room on the verge of tears. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Malcolm Roach. This thing meant so much to them, and they thought they had it won. On all sides of the ball, the defense thought they had it won when they stopped Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and forced him to kick a field goal, even though it gave the Chiefs the lead. Then the Broncos offense did as good of a job as you could do. They got the ball back with almost 6 minutes left and put together over a 10-play, 43-yard drive to get a 35-yard field goal. That is about as picture perfect as you could draw it up. And Alex Forsythe just got bullied on the line of scrimmage on that extra point, and that's what happened. As Sean Payton said after the game, he hasn't looked at the film, so he didn't know it was Alex Forsythe, but he said the left side of the line absolutely collapsed, and that's exactly what happened. The Broncos had the Chiefs beat, and then it was just torn away from them with a field goal mismanagement and protection there. And so it was about as depressing of a locker room as you could be in, and that's a good thing because you don't want to hooting and hollering after a game like that. You want this to hurt, and that's exactly the feeling in the Broncos locker room after the game. Sean Payton, actually, Audric Estime told us, Sean Payton told him after the game, this is one of the toughest losses he's ever been a part of. Sean Payton's been around for a long time and has seen a lot of tough losses, and this is one of the toughest that he's been a part of.
Do you think pain can be a good thing?
That's what she said.
It can. Whoa, my goodness, Todd. Whoa.
Forget this microphone.
I think it can be, Henry. And it was interesting in the Broncos locker room after the game. Some of these guys wanted to use this as a building block, but others, when you ask Nick Bonito, can this be used as a building block for this team being so close to being the Super Bowl champs? He said, no, this isn't a building block. We just have to win. And so that was the biggest divide in the Broncos locker room, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad divide. Some guys saying, man, we're so close to beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. This is an undefeated Super Bowl champs right now. We were this close to beating them. And then other guys saying, no, we're there already. We are this good. We can compete with these guys. We don't want to just compete. We want to win. And I think this shows exactly the verge of where this team is on right now. And it's a much better verge than where they were last week. Last week we're saying, man, okay, just get into the playoffs and that's a successful season. After coming in here and almost beating the Chiefs, things could have changed for the Broncos. And now you can still say that they changed. So moral victories is kind of the other way to phrase that question. And you can't walk away from here not feeling better about this Broncos team, specifically Bo Nix and this defense. I mean, this entire team outside of special teams and special teams. Marvin Mims even had a really good return today. But the defense held the Chiefs to a season-low 16 points. And the Broncos offense was non-existent in the first quarter, non-existent in the third quarter, non-existent in the beginning of the fourth quarter, showed up in the second quarter big time, and then showed up when it mattered the most. And for a rookie quarterback with Bo Nix to drive his team in this hostile environment, for him to drive them all the way down the field at the end of the game and put them in position to easily win, boy, Sean Payton called it a gutsy performance after the game.
Hey, Zach, can this bring the guys closer, or can this start to separate you? Because, I mean, you start pointing fingers. You're like, bro, you mentioned how great this defense played, man. They played great today and have that all. I mean, no one's going to be talking about the sacks. No one's going to be talking about the pressure. I mean, we've had those games where you have a great game and then no one's talking about it because you lose. Is this something that can bring the guys closer, though, and say, bro, all right, let's really lock down and get focused when it comes to the small details?
Yeah, there's no doubt, Sean, especially with the emotions so high at the end of the game and so high after the game. This could separate a team. I don't think it's going to separate this team, though, because both sides did enough. Obviously, defense did a tremendous job, and you talked about the sacks. They got to Patrick Mahomes way more than the numbers would indicate. Nick Bonito had the game of his life. He was a man on
Sure.
fire. He could have easily had 4 or 5 sacks in this game. Only comes away with 1 because of some crazy circumstances. But the defense played great, but the offense put them in a position to win. It was the special teams that let them down at the end of the game, and special teams has not been the Broncos' issue this year so far. So I think this is something that's going to bring them closer. And, man, I do not want to be the Atlanta Falcons next week having to come into Denver and play in this team.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think it's going to be a great game next week for the Broncos. Real quick question, kind of like side note. How many collars do you have on right now? Because I see quite a few. You got the...
Well, you know, the last time, Todd, that the Broncos won in Arrowhead was when Peyton Manning was here. So I tried to bring the good juju by going 3 different collars here in honor of Peyton. And the Broncos were this close to doing it. And, guys, just think about this. No, Sean, I don't know if you're a Bo Lever yet, but Bo was let's go. There you go. And because, I mean, you have to be after this game because he was this close to beating Patrick Mahomes and not just beating the Super Bowl chance, handing them their very first loss of the season. And he simply just outperformed Patrick Mahomes in this game. Patrick Mahomes thought he had the game-winning drive at the end of the game. The Bo Nix one-ups him with a literal perfect ending to the game until, again, that blocked field goal.
Did Taylor Swift look happy?
Henry, I'm not looking at Taylor Swift this game. I was watching the Broncos dominate. She was there. Zac Stevens and Taylor Swift.
She was there.
How were you able to talk to Audric Estime after the game? I felt like, he was the Broncos' leading rusher. Sean, he said he would get more touches. He did. He didn't fumble the ball. Although they lost, how are his spirits about his performance today, if you were able to talk to him?
Well, his spirits were pretty high, and Todd, I was able to talk to him after the game, and I mean, I can understand he was bummed about how the game finished, but you could tell how much confidence the Broncos and Sean Payton put in him in this game. Not just the leading rusher in terms of yards, the leading rusher in terms of carries, and then at the end of the game, when the Broncos are simply running the clock out, it's Audric Estime getting the ball. That shows, man, we're not worried about your fumble issues that you've had. That is the ultimate sign of confidence from Sean Payton to Audric Estime. And in fact, after the game, he said this performance and really them turning the running game over to him is going to make him, quote, a monster moving forward. And this is a guy, man, who can be a monster and a bowling ball. And we saw it. This is Audric Estime's team, guys, in terms of the running game. This is his team moving forward. He is going to be the Broncos' #1 running back, just like he was today. This was not a fluke. The Broncos wanted to get Marvin Mims involved in this game, but that's kind of a game-by-game situation. This is not the case with Audric Estime. This is his team in terms of the running game moving forward. So expect to see a lot of number 23.
I'm excited, man. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow when you're in studio and we break down this game. We're gonna let you go because I know you got to catch your flight and get back out of there.
Sure.
And we'll see you tomorrow morning when it's time to break down this game.
Always great.
If we want to, I mean, it's heart wrenching, but I think we have to.
Yep, we've got to. It's heart wrenching, and just know, man, Broncos country is probably dying out there. It's hurting the locker room even harder right now, and that's a good thing because it shows how much they care. And that was kind of the echoing statement in the Broncos locker room after the game was, man, this sucks, this hurts, and it's because it means so much to us. So I expect them to bounce back big time next week. Again, I don't want to be the Atlanta Falcons next week coming into Denver.
Exactly, man. Well, much love. We'll see you when you get back.
For sure.
All right, see you, fellas.
Alrighty.